When I was a kid, I loved going out in the woods. Be outside, you know, be climbing trees and around nature. It was always a big part of my childhood, was being outdoors. So I find these massive things along the river and I heft them up. You should see my truck sometimes piled up with these crazy pieces of wood. It's interesting when you go down along the riverways and you find these things, they just remind me of like big old bones, like massive old skeletons of trees, you know, like excited to have these guys come inside, these big beasts. Before I moved to the Capital District, I lived in Connecticut. When I was in Connecticut, I started to develop some very rebellious perspectives. I didn't like the government, I didn't like going to work, and I didn't like following the rules. So, I decided, myself and my brother, that we would rob banks. Of course, we got caught, and I went to prison for a long time, about 15 years. But while I was in prison, I took an art program. I used my incarceration to be involved in things that I felt would be benefit to my life while I was incarcerated. So I would find like soap and toilet paper and floor wax and bits and pieces of weird stuff, and like I would create these crazy sculptures. But it's all like this intricately woven together stuff that is reminiscent of like, you know, vines growing up trees and stuff like that, and plant life. So I feel like I've always had this affinity for this type of form, and it's why I am so attracted to the natural elements of the driftwood, I suppose, right? I feel like some of our sadness and our frustration comes from like an unknowing disconnection from nature. That what I'm up to and what is like trying to like get people like to, you know, get back to that natural order. Like for some reason we became convinced that square and straight and is made sense, but I don't think it does as much as, you know, more natural, right? You know, I mean, just doing. For me, that's what it is. Just doing it. Carrying the pieces and putting them together and being in that moment. All the rest of it to me is nonsense on some level, right? Like the having people come and ooh and ah, and I like your stuff, and oh, thank you for liking my stuff. I'm happy that you like my stuff and it makes me feel good about myself, blah, blah, blah. All of that is nonsense, really. Ultimately, to me, it's just about the visceral nature of doing it, right? So it's kind of like, that's all it is to me. I hope that people can look at a sculpture like this and feel like a connection to nature, a natural calm, that the fluidity of the pieces will help them kind of reconnect with the natural calm that I think is inherent in all of us.